My name is Zoe Papadopoulos, and today I'll be informing you on one of Canada's natural resources known as forestry. You may be thinking about what could I be possibly telling you about forestry. It's just a bunch of trees and some dirt. Well, little did you know about how important forestry is to Canada. 38% of Canada's land is forest, which makes up 10% of the world's forest. That's a lot of trees, isn't it? Forests are a major source of wealth for Canadians, providing a wide range of economic, social, and environmental benefits. Canada is the world's largest exporter of forest products. 33.6 billion of forest products were exported in 2007. Isn't that crazy? Forests also provide peaceful activities such as camping. Wouldn't it be a great experience to enjoy the amazing fresh oxygen trees give us? Don't forget that trees also provide a habitat to many of the animals in Canada and also provides great economic benefits. In Ontario, forestry is our second manufacturing sector with sales of $18 billion per year, providing direct employment for more than 80,000 people and an estimate of 200,000 for indirect employment. In 2013, solid wood product manufacturing produced 44% of the forest sector contribution to the Canadian economy, measured in real GDP. Pulp and paper product produced 36% of the contribution to the forest sector of the Canadian economy. Forestry and logging accounted 20% of the forest sector to the Canadian economy. Forestry can be extracted and used in many ways. Three main types of extraction are clear cutting, which is cutting down all trees and leaving bare landscape, selective cutting, which is cutting down trees that are mature or defective to encourage the growth of remaining trees in the forest, and lastly, shelter wood logging, which is harvesting timber so that the selected trees remain scattered throughout the tract to provide seeds for reproduction and shelter for seedlings. In Canada, trees are used for many products like solid wood and pulp and paper, which we use in our everyday lives. Trees also provide us with oxygen and fresh air, which clearly we use in our everyday lives. Trees provide habitat to lots of wildlife we see here in Canada, like deers, birds, moose, fox, and a lot more. Trees also provide jobs such as harvesting timber and making them into products, which keep the economy going. Now let's talk about sustainable development. Sustainable development is the idea of development that meets the needs of the present without conflicting with the ability of the future generations. With the rising population, it only shows more of the need to use natural resources, which help with sustainable development. Things such as wind, solar energy are free to access and are unlimited. The idea of sustainability is to find harmony between the environment, economy, and society. It is very important for a country to be able to meet their basic needs of employment, food, energy, water, and sanitation. Everybody on this earth has the right to be healthy, clean, and safe, and live in a clean, safe, and healthy environment. Sustainable development can be achieved in various ways, such as reducing pollution, poverty, poor housing, unemployment, and global environment threats such as climate change and poor air quality to be reduced to protect the environment and human health. The use of non-renewable resources will not be completely vanished overnight, such as fossil fuels, but they must be used efficiently and come up with other healthier, less damaging resources to phase them out. Sustainable development can be applied to forestry in many ways. As said before, forestry is very important to Canada for multiple reasons. Certain store companies offer something really helpful to our environment. 10tree.com will plant trees if you buy their products of clothing, which there's a wide range of clothing. All their clothes are recyclable and organic. Things like this will really help replenish all the damage which has occurred in forestry, with things such as fires, human destruction, and clear cutting. By sustaining forestry, it can be forever used in the future generations, which will help in so many ways, economically, environmentally, and socially. There are various ways we can apply sustainable development, we just have to look for good opportunities. Unfortunately, there are a lot of issues and negative impacts associated with forestry. Canada's native species of insects cause enormous damage to the forest. An example is the mountain pine beetle, which attacks many western Canadian pine trees, such as Pinus ponderosa. In fact, in 2008, 13.7 million of hectares of forest were destroyed by such insects, causing millions of dollars of lost revenue to the forest industry. Unfortunately, another negative impact on the forest is forest fires. In 2002, a total of 7,792 forest fires destroyed 2.8 million hectares of forest across the country. The forest industry harvested 974,000 hectares that year, so roughly 1/3 were destroyed by fires. Us humans are also a part of the issues or negative impacts associated with forestry. Human activity was responsible for almost half of those fires previously announced in the video, which was 7,792. More than 1,000 were caused by campers. Industries were also responsible for another 564 fires. Lightning strikes are another major natural source of fires. In 2002, lightning strikes burned more than 1.5 million hectares of forest. Discussed previously in this video was the problem with insect pests. But one thing we didn't think about is that since there is so much damage regards to the trouble of pests and insects, we are forced to use pesticides. But little do you know how this is affecting us. Unfortunately, pesticides are linked to many hazardous health problems, ranging from headaches, nausea, to even more chronic impacts like cancer and reproductive harm. Even though they are sprayed on land, they can sometimes make their way to the water system. For example, pesticides from a nearby forest may end up in a nearby water system due to runoff. If a large body of water becomes contaminated with toxic chemicals, many fish and animals may die or get very sick. This may possibly throw the whole ecosystem out of balance. Pesticides can also affect our groundwater. This is very bad news because a lot of people depend on their groundwater for their drinking supply. This happens through a process known as leaching. This would be very harmful and damaging to drink. The last thing that will be discussed in this video is an ecological footprint. An ecological footprint is the amount of environment necessary to produce the goods and services to a certain lifestyle. By thinking of simple things you can do in your everyday life, it can really impact our earth in a positive direction. For example, for garbage, constantly using the composting bins and making sure your recyclables go in the recycling bin. For purchasing, when shopping, by reusing grocery bags or bringing your own, it will lower the use of useless garbage. And for transportation, limit the amount of pollution into the environment by limiting the usage of vehicles. Try walking and biking. There's a lot of ways you can reduce your ecological footprint. You just have to look for good opportunities.